Soundphile.
Welcome to a new video from TheSoundphile, coming to you right out of the amazing sound studios. And today we want to talk about power distribution for your hi-fi or studio setup. Our topic will be polluted electrical power. Voodoo! I hear someone yelling voodoo, and this is exactly the question we want to examine. Is it voodoo? Is it not? What are the reasons for polluted electrical power? I always use my ears to verify the relevance of certain aspects. If I hear anything, it is relevant. If I don't hear anything, it is not. This is all that counts, and we will also give you a short sound example at the end of this video. The unit we have here is called STROMTANK. The German word stands for energy storage. STROMTANK is part of another company which is called Winbot. Winbot develops technology for sustainable energy. Apart from smaller wind power plants, they mainly build energy storage solutions which are used whenever it's necessary to store surplus energy from power plants. So those people know a lot about battery technology, and I talked to their CEO, Mr. Maletsky, who told me some interesting fact why our electrical power is contaminated. First of all, let's have a look at how our electrical power is defined. In Central Europe, we have a voltage of 230 volts and a frequency of 50 Hz. Those 50 Hz are crucial for our audio equipment because weird things happen in our power supplies when the sine wave is degraded. Another problem is that the suppliers don't send only power through the cables. They also send a bunch of control signals, for example, to turn on and off road lights or for measuring purposes. So our power is contaminated by high-frequency digital signals. The next problem is that a lot of private households use their power leads for an IP over power infrastructure, which pollute the power even more through high-frequency interference. And we have the problem that power supplies transmit the energy via magnetic induction, while high-frequency interference affect the electronic via capacitive induction. Further HF interference is caused by mobile phones, which transmit a lot of radiation. And even the electricity meters of your households, which nowadays mostly measure energy consumption by digital means. More problems can be caused by electric components like heatings or refrigerators, which switch themselves on and off with pretty high currents. Switching power supplies, computers and other devices pollute the power in the same way as the computers themselves with their very high clocking frequencies. Mr. Maletsky told me that in recent times we have a new problem which tends to gain prominence. Electric cars cause very high current flows when they start and stop their charging process, and thus have significant effects on the fluctuation of voltage and frequency. In my daily studio work, I once had an interesting experience regarding proper mains voltage. My beloved old vintage Lexicon 300 reverb once failed to boot. It showed the software version, but the processor itself didn't boot anymore. I sent it to a repairman and he replied, "What's your problem? The unit works perfectly." He sent it back, I tried it in my office, it worked. Then I put it back in the studio rack and it failed again. I called the repairman again and asked what to do. He asked me to measure the voltage of that specific outlet. It was only 210 volts. Not enough for the old reverb unit to work. So this example shows pretty well that mains voltage is not always the same. Now, what does STROMTANK do? There are quite a few units out there which should clean our mains power, but STROMTANK does it in the most sophisticated way. In hi-fi, these devices are considered the most effective of their kind. Like I said, Winbot is a company who is concerned about battery technology, and this is exactly what STROMTANK is about. The main component of the inside is an array of high-performance batteries. And the first thing we see is this big meter on the front. In blue mode, the meter turns to the right and the batteries are charged. When I want to use my audio equipment, I press this button to enter green mode. Now this LED shows me the current battery status, and this big meter shows me the energy actually consumed. The capacity of the batteries will easily last for 8 hours depending on how much power my audio device is needing. In green mode, STROMTANK fully disconnects from mains power physically. Now all your audio devices are fed by a battery. STROMTANK uses a very high precision DC-AC converter, which guarantees that we always have a perfect power with a perfect frequency and a perfect sine wave. The battery management is very sophisticated. STROMTANK uses 8 lithium iron phosphor batteries, which are considered the most advanced batteries today, with a very high capacity and a very long lifespan. Those batteries are also used in some electric cars, but not in all of them, since those batteries are a little bit on the heavy side. Every single battery is controlled by its own microprocessor, and all those processors go to a main processor which controls the whole unit. The software was developed together with the Fraunhofer Institute, the famous inventors of MP3, and ensures proper power distribution and an even charge of all batteries under all circumstances. On the backside of the unit, we find 4 power outlets and an Ethernet port, which makes future software updates quick and easy. STROMTANK can also perform remote diagnostics through this port, so most service issues can be taken off without the need to post the device. As we see, this is by no means a simple battery. STROMTANK is a very sophisticated and carefully developed device. Like so often, things are not so easy when it comes to practical realization. I was asked to review this device, and to be honest, my first reaction was not too excited. On the one hand, I thought, that's all voodoo, and on the other hand, it would not be so easy to integrate that unit in our studio setup. Why? Well, we already have some sophisticated power distribution system in our studio. Coming from a central machine room, we have a carefully designed setup which already uses different high-quality cables for analog and digital devices. So it was not easy to integrate STROMTANK into that system. In the end, I decided to only use STROMTANK for 4 important pieces of output. I made a mix consisting of bass, drums and acoustic piano. For that mix, I used my beloved vintage Focusrite Red compressor for the bass, the Rock Ripple tube compressor for the drums, the Drummer S3 tube multiband compressor for the piano, and my beloved Jaguar 670, an exact replica of the famous Fairchild compressor with no less than 20 tubes for the overall mix. In order to give you a chance to experience the difference for yourselves, I now give you the mix with our regular mains power and right after that the mix with STROMTANK power. That's it. I have to say it really blew my mind when I heard what happened. In the beginning of the song, there's a resonance of the bass string of the piano, which can be heard much more precisely with STROMTANKs. All the dynamics are more defined and the instruments in the room as well. I feel like particularly my Jaguar compressor was more than pleased to have such clean power. In the beginning I even thought the STROMTANKphile was louder, but I made a measurement with my mastering meter. It is not. It is not louder, but it sounds louder. For everybody who wants to check the real difference, we provide high-resolution audio files. Enjoy listening to the differences, maybe check out STROMTANK for yourself.
Soundphile.